Hello and welcome again to another episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show. Today we're going to talk about one of my favourite bands of all time, Born Against.
You're born against. You better be extremely fucking cautious about who you talk shit about.
So growing up in Adelaide, we were very lucky. We had a thing called Spiral Objective, which was like a DIY mail order. And this was like the greatest thing ever. Whatever money I was able to save up through the week by not spending my lunch money for school, I would then, go to Thrash Grind and Grunge, which was the punk record store that we had in Adelaide. And I would go in on a Saturday because that was a day that Greg, who ran Spiral Objective, would work in there. And I would go in there and he would basically just introduce everybody who came in to new bands. Like, it doesn't matter what you're into, whether you're into pop punk, whether you're into hardcore, whatever. He always had his finger on the pulse and was able to, introduce you to so many bands. Like, this is how I discovered, Screeching Weasel and, the Lookout Records thing, Green Day, all of that sort of stuff, right through to bands like Drop Dead, Resist, and whatever. Greg was the guy that got us into all of those bands. And it was the greatest thing ever. Spiral Objective was like pivotal in my, discovery of independent punk music. I'd already knew about the Australian stuff because I was already into bands like the Hard-Ons and Mass Appeal and, Thrust and Voltees and Spunk Bubbles and all that. But the American stuff and the European stuff I had no idea about. It was all alien to me. Apart from like the mainstream bands, Black Flag, Ramones, whatever, I didn't know about any of this independent stuff. And so then one of my friends from school, he was from Poland. His name was Arthur, and he was really into bands like Deserter and Blank 77, and the real straight up street punk or whatever. And we were going through the catalogue, the Spiral Objective catalogue, deciding what records we should buy. And he was going halves with me, so the postage would be cheap, even though it was only like $3 or something like that. But we went halves in an order, so we could basically get everything together. And he bought a Born Against record, which was, I think it's the self-titled one. And when it arrived, we sat around the turntable and we listened to all these records. Now, Born Against blew us all away. We couldn't believe what we were hearing. We had never heard anything like it. And it just totally blew my mind. It was insane. It was just so chaotic. Just an absolutely brilliant band. And from there forward, it was like, I need everything. And so the hunt was on. We started buying everything that Greg, who ran Spiral Objective, was able to get in of Born Against, whether it was a bootleg or whether it was, the LPs, 10 inches, whatever. I got every single Born Against record I own from Spiral Objective, bar one. One of them I had been searching for forever and I was never able to find it. But we'll get to that in a little bit. First of all, I'm going to go through the Born Against records I have. And, I'm pretty sure it's a complete collection here. So let's go through and take a look. And I'll show you what I've got. So first of all, I'm going to show you the bootlegs I've got. And this is one here. It doesn't have any name or anything like that. It's just, it's a straight up 5-track bootleg there. There's nothing on the labels, I don't believe. Yep, it's just 1 or 2. That's all there is. There's no inserts. There's no nothing. No information about where this is from. So I can't remember. Is this a demo tape that's been put on vinyl or is this live? Can't remember. But here you go. There's the first one. Here's another one, which you can see here. And again, Born Against. Killing it always. This one's called My Country, 'Tis of the Enemy of All Tribes. And again, nothing on the labels. So, is there an insert in this one? I don't think there is. Oh, no, there is. So, this one you can open up. And let's have a look here. And you have all of this in here. So, you can go through that if you don't. Or you can pause it or something like that. And go through that. Awesome. Now, one of the things that did excite us all was the fact that Born Against did a split with Screeching Weasel, and this is the record, and there it is there. Now, I believe the lyrics were written by the band, and then the other band had to write the music for it and record it. So we've got Screech and Weasel doing political songs like Elmo Zote and Fuck This Great Nation. There's the insert there. And then you've got Screech and Weasel's lyrics, which were for Born Against to sing, which was a song called Janelle and one called Go Fuck Yourself. And it's really good. It's a really good 7-inch. Like, I love this record, and I think all the songs on it are fantastic. I do have the CD as well, which is like a bonus track from each band. But as we all know, with my CDs, they're in a box under the bed, and I can't be bothered to get them all out. But this 7-inch rules. I highly recommend, if you've never heard it, that you buy a copy of this. I'm sure it's not expensive. I found a second copy of this when I was at Punk Rock Bowling for $2. So I'm pretty sure it's $2. It's in the Screech and Weasel video. You can look at it in the Screech and Weasel video. So there we go. Awesome. And this is the record that my friend bought a copy of, and I bought one too later. Now his has an insert. Mine doesn't have an insert for whatever reason. And I remember the insert was a fold-out poster that said, government spend billions feeding us lies, so thousands or so millions of innocent children die, or something like that. This one does have a booklet that you can check out with all the lyrics. And there we go. And there we go. But like I said, it doesn't have the fold-out poster, my version. His does. But I did photocopy his poster, and I don't know where that is. It's probably rolled up with other posters. But yeah, very, very cool. So I don't know. I guess his is like a first pressing or something like that, if it has the poster, because this one I bought later on from Thrash Grind and Grunge for $3. Now I've got three others here. We've got this awesome flexi disc with a band called Sucker Punch, and this is a song called Alive with Pleasure, which is an anti-smoking song. There's the deets of it. You can have a look there. It says it's limited to 10,000 copies. Lyrics are really cool. Really, really cool record. Alive with Pleasure. The Marlboro Man is dead, and so are all his cowboys. Love this. Really, really cool. Don't know whatever happened to Sucker Punch. I never followed through on Sucker Punch, so I have no idea what else they've done. So, but there you go. There's the flexi. So there you go. It also has a spoken word called We Won. And yeah, very, very cool. Now I've got these records, which this one is a split with Man is a Bastard, which is really, really cool. It's like an 8-inch record or something, or is it a 9-inch record? I can't remember. But there you go. There's the labels there. Is that right? Am I holding that right? There we go. And then there. This is really, really cool. This was the very first time that I ever heard Man is the Bastard. And it was like, they're like two bass players and a drummer and a singer. So there's no guitar. And yeah, it's wasn't really my thing. I don't hate it, but it's not really something that I followed through on because I didn't really connect with it. I haven't listened to it, like the Man is a Bastard songs. I haven't listened to them in a long time, so maybe I'll have to go back and revisit and see if it connects with me now. Could happen. So it's like that, you know. This is awesome. This is a split with Universal Order of Armageddon. And this really, really cool record. There's a booklet thing in there of the lyrics and stuff. But there's a song in here called I Am an Idiot, which is a really, really cool song. And then the Universal Order of Armageddon songs are awesome anyway. They're members of Born Against as well, I believe. So, but yeah, really, really cool split, this one. I do have this LP, which is 9 Patriotic Hymns for Children. This was awesome. I used to be in a hardcore band, and we did a cover of a Born Against tune. And it was Jock Gestapo. Or Gestapo, I should say, Jock Gestapo. And it's fucking hard because that drums, really, really hard to play. But this album rules. I love how it finishes with a song called Well Fed Fuck, which has got this, like, you know, repetitive beat and stuff, but it's just so good. 9 years later, what a great song. Mount the Pavement. This album rules. This is one of the best punk records ever. So if you've never heard 9 Patriotic Hymns for Children, You need to do yourself a favor. But it doesn't end there, because they followed it up with this thing, which has to be talked about in itself, because this is incredible. This is a 10-inch Battle Hymns of the Race War. And this blew us all away when we got this record. The first song on it is called Murder the Sons of Bitches, which is an anti-death penalty song. And being that I worked at Amnesty International at the time doing volunteer work, when this song came out, I took the record to Amnesty International and showed them, and they were pretty blown away with how good the lyrics were. So there you go. My friend Arthur that I told you about, that was the guy who bought the Born Against record that got us all into Born Against, I guess. He was from Poland, and there was a song in here called Poland, and he read the lyrics, and he has no idea what the song's about. So there you go. I do love this EP though. Sendero's great. Set Your AM Dial for White Empowerment's a fantastic song. Born Against a Fucking Dead is brilliant. But then it finishes with a song called A Whopper of a Tale. Now, I have tried to find out the truth to this song. It sounds like it samples from a Donahue episode, and then has Sam McFeeters at the end talking about all this stuff. Now, I have no idea if this is true, if this actually happened, because it is before the days when everything was online. So I have no idea if that Donahue episode is online. I'd love to hear it if it is. I used to watch Donahue when I was staying off school, when I was sick or whatever, because my mum would watch it and I'd stay home and I'd watch it too. And I always found his shows very amusing. He did have an episode with Jello Biafra was on there, Wendy O. Williams from the Plasmatics was on there, Ice-T, Mike Muir, etc.
Jello Biafra, you're the former lead singer of the San Francisco punk band The Dead Kennedys. 3 years ago, you were charged with distributing harmful matter to minors. The Frankenchrist poster was stuffed inside an album. I've seen the picture. It's a penis and an anal area, and it's dirty, come on.
Not everyone interpreted it that way.
Jello
In
Biafra,
fact,
you look like you work for IBM here. What happened to you in the last
Well, when people turn on the TV expecting Sid Vicious or Motley Crue,
you
why
want to
not
know
play
you're just
Halloween?
You're a solid citizen.
Disguise myself as Phil Donahue and see what happens.
You never know. Tell me, Jello, seriously, this wasn't funny at the time, and you beat the rep, right?
Well, yes and no. It took about 1.5 years out of my life. The police broke through a window by my front door and tore my house apart, went through my address book page by page, comparing notes. I felt like I was in the Soviet Union 2 or 3 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And on top of it, it's become harder and harder to get my records into stores in the first place. Free publicity does no good if the stores themselves are afraid of getting attacked by a publicity-hungry prosecutor or fundamentalist preacher or something like that. There was even a chain called Camelot in Columbus, Ohio. A kid wrote me a letter saying he discovered that every single record with my name on it, even spoken word albums, poetry albums, were all stickered 18 to purchase, regardless of whether or not there was any of the 7 words you can't say on television on it. In other words, I have been blacklisted just like they did to people in the 1950s.
And you probably want us to know you're not a millionaire as a result of all this publicity.
Well, I pay to put my own records out because I want artistic control. I don't want to be like what's happening to the people on the major labels now. A member of a band called Ministry who works for Warner Brothers said that they called him yesterday and said they were slapping tipper stickers, the warning stickers, on all his records, and were charging the band 3 cents per sticker, which is about 6 times the cost of making one of those stickers to put it on. In other words, profiting.
Using censorship to profiting by it.
Yeah.
That episode is amazing, and I highly recommend, if you've never seen it, you check that out. So it is on YouTube. The whole thing's on YouTube. It's incredible. Yeah. Whopper of a Tale. Does anybody who's watching this know the true story of that? Sam, can you elaborate if you're watching this? Damien from Fucked Up did a interview with Sam McFeeters, and the one question I was hoping he would ask would be talking about that, and he didn't ask it, and I was so bummed out. I was like, man, that was the one question I would love to know the answer to. So I still do not know the answer to this song to this day. So if anybody knows the true history to the song A Whopper of a Tale, or whether it is all just fake and it was just the samples and everything like that just put together, with a fake phone call and whatever, just let me know as well. I'd love to know the actual history of it, because it's fantastic. Yeah, classic. See this gun, like with the pointing back towards the shooter? I remember I saw a band called Fly Cop once, and the bass player was wearing a T-shirt, a Born Against T-shirt with that design on it, and I thought that was really cool. And there you go. Ah, poster on the inside. This is the collection of comp tracks and 7 inches, B-sides, whatever. It is awesome. If you don't want to have to go and scrounge around and buy all these singles, you can just buy this. And this has all the tracks, and you will have a good time listening to them all in a row. The Rebel Sound of Shit and Failure. This is awesome. So released on Vermiform Records, you get this and all the lyrics there. Are there the lyrics? Yes, they are. So there you go. There's all the lyrics there, so you can read along to your favorite political hardcore band. And then you've got notes where everything is from. So it tells you all the stuff where you can find all the songs if you want to go out and be a completist like me. Which is not the best way to live because everything gets really expensive. Now, the last record I want to talk to you about has a really good story to it. This is besides the comps, by the way. It is this record, Eulogy. Now, this came with a zine. I was in Amoeba Records in 2019. And I was just shopping, going through the records like I always do, just going through the 7 inches. And a guy, come up next to me, and he started going through the records as well. And just as you do, you just start talking to fellow record nerds. And he asked, have you found anything cool? And I said, yeah, I've just been looking through some stuff, whatever. And I saw this, and I pulled this out, and I went, oh my God, this is the one Born Against record I do not own. And he said to me, he goes, oh, I've got the zine to that if you want it. Now, I've never met this guy before. His name was Toby. And we ended up talking for ages, and we were just shooting the shit as we were going through records and whatever. So anyway, we swapped email addresses and stuff. And then he emailed me and said, hey, I've got that Born Against zine. If you would like, send me your address and I'll send it to you in the mail. And, he didn't have to do this. And I gave him my address. And sure enough, like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, however long it was, the zine ended up in the mail. Now, the zine is now in a box with a bunch of other zines, and I'm not going to pull them all out because it would take forever. But the fact that he remembered and sent it to me was like the kindest gesture ever. And Toby, if you're watching this, you are a champion, and I will never forget that day because we had the best day shopping for records, and we told each other about bands that we didn't know or whatever. I think I recommended a Helicopters record that day, and he recommended a band called End Tables, and I did buy that 7-inch on his recommendation, which is great. But here we are, Eulogy. So good. This was the last 7-inch I needed, and I finally got it. So, excellent. Now, the compilation singles. Okay, I have looked everywhere, and I can't find the other one that I have. Or maybe there's two others, but I did find this one. All these boxes behind me, up here, they're all 7-inch records. And there's at least 40 of those boxes. So, I do have a box full of compilations, and it is on the very bottom, and it's just there, and I cannot be bothered to take them all down to get to that one box and go through that. But we have this one, which was out because I was listening to it. Here we go, Murders Among Us. This is a great comp. Look at that. You got Life's Blood, Nausea, Born Against, and Absolution. Now, what a great EP. This has, the other one I've got has got Heroin on it, that band Heroin. Who else is on that one? It's a really good comp. I think it's by Gravity or Vermiform. But it is awesome. And maybe Men's Recovery Project's on it as well. I can't remember. I'm sorry. When I post the thumbnail for this, I will put a photo of that record included with it. But hey, look, there's a dog on the label. But yes, another cool compilation here. This rules. Brutal stuff. Love it. So here we go. This is the booklet. There's your Born Against. And there's Nausea. And then it folds out into a poster. I love all these really cool punk singles and compilations because they always had really good fold outs and filled with information and stuff like that. So, Life's Blood. Fuck off. Okay, cool. Nice. And yeah, The Good Father by Born Against. awesome compilation. But anyway, I used to trade VHS tapes with a guy in America. I don't know what I gave in return, probably a bunch of hard-ons videos or something like that, like really cool Aussie punk stuff, Mass Appeal, things like that. But anyway, he sent me a VHS tape and had like the Muffs, the Devil Dogs, Lunachicks, and Born Against are on there. And this Born Against show is phenomenal. If I can find that video, that live concert that I got sent on YouTube, I will link it below and you can go watch the set that I watched. But that video was amazing, and you know, the fact that we couldn't go to America and watch Born Against live, we got to see it on this VHS tape. Me and my friend Arthur, we were sitting around and we were watching this, you know, half an hour show. We're just like blown away by how good they were. So yeah, really intense stuff. Love Born Against. So yeah, if you've never heard Born Against, I cannot recommend them enough to you. They are phenomenal. They are one of the greatest punk bands I've ever heard. I guess they're from New York City. I think they're from New York City. And they just brutal. Like every release rules. Like even the stuff that is kind of like, you know, not as good as the other stuff, like this single, it doesn't matter. Like everything's great. Like it's all great. You're not going to fail by, you know, buying Born Against records. But I would recommend just getting this because you need it. Getting this because you need this as well. And definitely getting this. Once you've got this, you've got everything, and that's all you need. So, yeah. Do yourself a favor if you're not hip to Born Against. Get hip to Born Against. They're fucking awesome. Thank you very much for watching another episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show. Go out and buy some records. Buy some Born Against. If not, just go out and buy something else. And, yeah. I will see you in the next video. Take care.